Hello and welcome to PolitiBro. I'm Mercy Francis and this is Godson Azu. Welcome, a political analyst.
Thank you very much, Francis. It's my great pleasure being here, and I'm glad to be here with you.
Okay, and we're going to be talking everything Brexit today.
Wow, great. Great indeed. So here we go.
Yes, it's getting quite hot in Parliament. Yesterday we had a mighty speech from Boris, and people are calling for him to apologise for using military language. What do you think about that?
Well,
should he apologise?
Well, I don't think so much about that. From my point of view, I believe that in as much as I feel that Boris was the right kind of person to really take a very strong and a concerted step and decision on issue regarding the Brexit discourse at this very moment, because you need a very how do I put it? You need a radical personality to take a radical actions and decisions, because Brexit as an issue needs a radical actions to be taken in regards to this. In as much as the political issue has gone from politics to legal and now becomes a legal challenge for Boris to be able to make further steps on the radical approach to getting Britain out of the EU. I think making apology to the fellow parliamentarians is like saying he wasn't sure what he was actually doing. Going by the whole scenario, I believe he's been advised properly by the government's legal person.
So you think he should have called Parliament off for 5 weeks?
Well, he would have done that based on the legal advice he's got, and based on the fact that he is pointing to reference of the past, in the sense that there's been a precedent where Parliament has been prorogued for about 18 days or 14 days previously, 8 days or whatsoever. Without it ending up in the court, for the courts to decide what actually politicians should be doing in this regard. I think he will owe an apology to the nation if eventually there is a clear view that he wasn't sure of what he was doing, why he did what he was doing. There is a particular reason for what he did, and there's an understanding that some key elements in the Parliament or in the House of Commons that doesn't want Brexit to really happen. They don't want Brexit to happen, and they are consciously and determined in their heart to ensure that Brexit doesn't really happen. But the fact remains that if over 65% of 55% of British people voted to leave the EU, whether it is by act of omission or what do you call it, act of omission, or I can't remember the other word I want to use, that they voted the way they voted, it doesn't really actually matter so much now, in the sense that the politicians have been asked to carry out the mandate of the people. And in 3 years, they are still struggling to carry out the mandate of the people.
Yes, there seems to be more drama than EastEnders right now. in Parliament. We have Chuka Umna, who's in and out of different parties, and we've got Sam Juma, who's defected from Conservative to Lib Dems. What do you think about this?
Well, I mean, it just shows that there's a lot in politics that people can actually
a lot of surprises.
See. You know, we see politics as as an engagement of people who are not professionally minded of what to do in life.
Yeah.
But I think politics is becoming more professional now because of the kind of people we find in politics these days. It's not for the layman anymore. It's not for the less-hearted ones. It's not for jobless people. Yes. People think politics is for jobless people.
If a constituent votes an MP to be a Labour MP or a Conservative MP in the area, and they suddenly become Lib Dems halfway, do you not think that it's not fair on the electorate?
Well, I mean, in politics, there's the leeway for carpet crossing.
The leader can't be decisive.
There's a leeway for carpet crossing.
Yes.
And based on the fundamental issues that are not in consonant with the particular individual or politician. Because many of us got to know and understand that politics in the West or in the developed countries is based on ideological followership and philosophical understanding of the political spectrum or the political divide, in which you look at the issues of those who think to the right, or those who think to the left, or those who think to the center, or those to the center of the left or the center of the right. And most of the Western or developed country politics has always been structured within this philosophical context. And for you to see politicians who normally you believe and have always projected or professed their political thinking, economic and social wise strands to be of the right, suddenly becoming becoming a left politician. It's unimaginable in a real world, because it means that such an individual has been living a deceptive political life. Because when you are a pro-market and suddenly you are now an anti-market, then that means that you never really had a view of your political lineage. And moving from left to south, right to left, or left to right is a bit dicey. But I believe the only compromise in this situation with regards to what Brexit has brought out of people is that there are people who think very much about the new dynamics of politics in the on issues that are now zeroed around the center of politics, which means people who are more of the left or the socialist thinkers are now looking at the liberal aspect of socialism and then are drawing themselves to the center of thinking. And then you find those who are in a party that is understood to be more of the right, who are now seeing the liberal concept of the right thinking and are bringing themselves to the center. And then when issues are not in consonant with their original political base, they try to look for the center structure. And that is why the likes of Chuka Umunna are moved from Labour Party to open
I can't remember his
clean, is it
party.
open clean party or whatever, and then suddenly jumped over to Lib Dem, Liberal Democrats, which is more of a center thinking political structure. And then you find some of the 21 that were dislodged from the Conservative Party for missing the whip or for voting against the party, now finding themselves whipping themselves into the Lib Dem. Probably shows that they are more, probably either they decided to become more center thinking.
So do you think there's a chance of Lib Dems winning the elections if there's a general election?
I think the Brexit has brought about a lot of things in British
lot of
politics.
surprises,
a
yes,
lot of
definitely.
dynamic projections about political thinking or political directions in British politics. People are very much at home with this left-thinking Labour political institutions and this right-thinking conservative political institution, and a little bit of mix of the both in Lib Dem at the center.
Yes.
And now people are beginning to see there's a lot of confusion in between these two key and the middle party, that they begin to wonder, are we actually voting some people into parliament to think about themselves or think about what the party is doing for the generality of the people? So you see, the Lib Dem are coming up. I mean, from my own understanding and political observations,
yes.
I know that the Lib Dem are going to buy into these whole misconceptions of
yes.
the two divide,
yes.
of the left and the right,
yes.
in the sense that they've remained so consistent
yes.
in their profession, in their position or stand on Brexit, which they say they remain as the party that wants to remain in the EU, projecting the agenda to remain in the EU, and they kind of have that consensus within
yes.
the party, and for that, I think they're going to have a lot of sympathetic or empathic vote empathy
yes.
with those who are still very vocal enough to say we want to remain, because Labour as a party doesn't really know where they want to go.
Yes, I was going to say that, because
they say they are remain, they say they are leaving, they say they are divided.
That they're joining teams with the SNP.
It's terrible, because the SNP wants to. It's a Remain party
yes.
in Scotland. They voted to remain in Scotland, and for Labour to say we joining hands with SNP simply means that they want to, they believe in that Remain concept.
Yes.
And if they really want to say they want to be a party of Remain, then they should come out openly and say, we want to be a party of Remain. We want to remain. We don't want to go negotiating for extension of negotiation.
Yeah.
We don't want to do any. We don't want to go in for any second referendum, because the referendum has said exit or according to the majority vote. But yet we said there is no greater benefit leaving the EU, but we as a party, we want to remain, and we want to fight to ensure that we don't go out of the Brexit. So there is an open
yes.
thing.
Yes.
Don't keep going all the way
yes.
around the whole circle.
So what do you think if Jeremy Corbyn was to be voted in as Prime Minister? Do you think we can ever see it happening in this climate?
Well, unfortunately,
Anything is possible.
I don't think everything or many things and so many things are highly possible these days in the context of politics.
Yes, yes.
I mean, a lot of people have come to become Prime Minister from the back doors in recent years. We remember how Gordon Brown became a Prime Minister from the back door. Fortunately, that started the breakdown of Labour Party in the United Kingdom.
Yes.
The breakdown of the Labour Party as a political institution began from that particular period of time, and until Eddie Miliband became became leader of the party, and that deteriorated furthermore, and now it's going down the drain also, with Jeremy Corbyn as leader of the party. I wouldn't say it's not possible, but I think it's going to be a very dangerous move,
yes.
or a dangerous strike,
yes.
to get Jeremy Corbyn into number 10
Do you
down
think he
the
will
street.
last?
It's not about him lasting.
Yes.
It's about the image he brings to British politics. It's
So
about
do you
the
think
image.
they should
Because
have a new leader?
somebody who supported the Socialist Party in Venezuela to continue to oppress its people in the name of socialism, and has not reprimanded from that fact that he needs to understand that in as much as the present day political climate is unfolding, socialism is a dead context in any good situation, in any state of governance across the continent, whether it's a developed world or an underdeveloping world. Socialism is not the best concept or the political ideology that can bring any good means to the people, and it's dying gradually. People are moving a bit little to the left, to the center, to find a compromise between social concepts and economic concepts that will improve the daily life of the people, and not how the government takes absolute responsibility of how people's lives are being governed or managed.
Yes. But do you think he's like a cat with 9 lives, that he's lasted so long, so many people have tried to remove him from power, and he still remains the leader of the Labour Party? So do you not think that his supporters are so strong that if he becomes PM, he can maintain the long term in that position with them? How strong his supporters keep him going?
Yeah, I think he had a good strategy when he began to preach this socialist movement, trying to revive welfarist state agenda, trying to get the unions to believe that they need to stand up to ensure that socialism in this part of the world does not get blacked out by the capitalist ventures, and as such as that, moving that spirit into student unionism across the country, brought in younger people. Remember, most student union are based on socialist culture.
Yes, he deceived those students and said that he's going to wipe off student loans, and they all went and registered. But he said it was never going to happen. It was not practical. The budget is never going to allow it.
Yeah, so, of course. I mean, he took the advantage of that because most universities across up and down the country structured under a socialist concept.
Yes.
And he was able to take advantage of that, which led to the huge number of young people pumping themselves into the labor institution, registering as members of the Labour Party, creating the stronger young labor movement, which led to the creation of what is called now the momentum.
Yes,
the momentum
is
young people within the institutions, university institutions, who believe that, who still have that socialist culture that they don't want to let go. And these are the people that are created, that are giving energy to Corbyn. These are the people that are making Corbyn to feel it's going to be challenging, difficult for anyone to remove him in the labor structure, which the likes of Chukwumuna and the rest of them felt uncomfortable with, because they are like the new labor, which metaphors out of the beliefs of Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, when they came up with the new liberalism, the echo of entrepreneurship, the echo of wealth creation, self-wealth creation for younger people, for the emerging market of young people in Great Britain. And they bought into that idea. And now it's like the idea is being suffocated with Corbyn's new drive, taking labor back to the 1920s, 1919s, when it was core social movement, where everything is about public ownership of public institutions and providing for the people according to what the government cannot do. But you can't do that in an economy that is driven by self made capitalist individuals across the world. You can. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be difficult to run a socialist, a core-socialist system of government in a world where money makes money. People has to work to make money. And government does not work to make money. People work to make money. And government benefit from what the people are working to make money. If government has to go into the act of making money, then it becomes a very challenging economic dynamics that can never be equated to run a society of modern day generation.
Okay, coming back to Brexit. So Brexit happens. So what next? What are the implications?
Well, this is the area the EU is trying to avoid. People are looking at can EU evolve?
Yes.
Is EU actually going to survive these consequences of Brexit?
Yes.
And we remember a couple of years before Brexit, we had Grexit. Grexit was when the Greeks were having their huge economic default and challenges. At the point, the people of Greece were like, we want to vote to leave the EU and solve our own problem. But the EU survived that threat and challenge, and Grexit never happened.
Yes.
Then Brexit came up, and then now the EU are looking for every means, even as much as they would want, if it becomes the worst situation scenario for Britain to leave.
Yes.
At worst, they still want Britain to find a way to stay in the EU to avoid.
That's why they've given us basically a divorce settlement, but we're still in, but we're not out. We're in on paper, but we're not out.
I mean, is because you look at the scenarios, they looked at all scenarios, and none of them are working for Brexit because of the backstop.
Yes.
The Northern Ireland issue. It's a big issue that can only be resolved by providing the right technology and the right man labor, the labor force, to be able to hold on to that backstop issue in Northern Ireland and Ireland, which is Europe or not Europe, because you find a border that is crossing into Northern Ireland that you cannot avoid because it's already there. And then you look at the fact that if Brexit happens, there are huge clamor for populist agenda across Europe.
Yes, because it's like Britain sneezes, the whole of Europe sneezes, isn't it?
The populist agenda in Europe is growing faster than the socialist agenda.
Yes.
And the fear is, if Britain should leave, the likes of Italy, the likes of even Greece,
a domino effect.
The likes of even France itself is at the danger of its people saying, enough of this EU propaganda. We want to leave, because who is going to pay for this whole thing now? We have no jobs. There's no enough jobs. Employment is dipping in France. The economy is not is in very difficult situation. Italy is having the same issue at the moment, and these people are going to come after 1 year, 2 years, and say, "Wow, we don't really know if we can sustain ourselves within this EU economic basket." Because remember, the essence of the EU was for the economic benefit of mutual relationship of the member states. And now it is gradually developing or structuring itself into a politically mutual relationship of the membership state, whereby it becomes in the near future a political institution where every state loses its sovereignty gradually or completely to an EU nation state, which is going to be a very awkward situation with Britain, as long as the crown remains.
Yes, but what do you think would be the implications if we do stay in Europe?
Well,
we've invested so much money
well,
in.
like I said
Do you think
like I
things
said
will
earlier
ever be
on,
the
like I said
same?
earlier on, the British political belief
Yes.
has always been seen as an exceptional one.
Yes.
And also, you look at what
I mean, we've rocked the boat here.
you look at what well, I'm trying to Churchill,
Yes.
Winston Churchill said
Yes.
that we are in
Yes.
the EU,
Yes.
but we are not with the EU.
Yes.
It's a philosophical statement that says we want to be in the EU, but in real natural reality and sense of it, we are not EU in
Yes.
the sense of it.
Yes.
Britain went into the EU for the economic benefit of it.
Yes.
And that economic benefit of it is what is still trying to keep them in the EU. And that is why you see the people, the likes of Corbyn, the likes of the Remain, are looking at how are we going to lose these economic benefits?
Yeah.
How are we going to lose some of these fantastic rights that we're getting because of our membership of the EU?
Yeah.
You understand? But at the same time, the skeptics are seeing it as a loss
Yes.
to Britain in the global war. The world today is emerging or evolving into a multipolar agenda.
Yes.
A multipolar agenda in the sense that we're no more in the bipolar war anymore.
Yes.
The war has moved on, and today now we have China have grown into a big economic and political force in the world. We have Russia is revolving itself again to become a big player in the global economy and global political agenda. We have the US saying we are still the policeman of the world. We are still the free state of the free state of the world. You have the EU as a whole.
Yes.
Trying to create itself as a global force.
Yes, as a superpower.
As a superpower.
Yes.
And Britain feels like we've lost the empire.
Yes.
Suddenly we're not likely to lose the Commonwealth leadership.
Yes.
And now we are being soaked into this economic program that is gradually becoming a global political force.
Yes.
And suddenly Britain may be wiped out of the political spectrum in discussing political issues,
Yes.
deciding political agendas, making progress in decision making in international society. And to the skeptics, they feel no, we can, as long as we still have the crown, we cannot allow Britain to fiddle away so suddenly, not in our generation, not in our time. And that is one of the concepts why they are still saying we need to leave the EU, we need to redefine Britain, we need to go back to what we used to be.
Yes.
Trading empire. We need to go back to what we used to be. A negotiating empire that negotiates its way through all nations.
Yes.
Many years, many different ways, in generations. And now we cannot even negotiate ourselves out of the Brexit. And so, how do you get this whole thing resolved? It now boils down to the fact, do British people still believe that remaining in the EU still retain and sustain Britain's sovereign authority, sovereign power in global politics? Or are we suddenly soaking ourselves down into a muddy water that does not give Britain any more value in global politics, global trade?
Do you think there should be another referendum? Are you in support of that?
That's a very hard one, but as somebody who believes in democracy, you can only have a second attempt to a democratic failure when it is being decided by a law court that there is a flaw or there is a failure in part in the process of that democratic process, and people now can see it from a litigating point of view that there is something wrong with the legality. If people say that the people have been deceived
Yes.
Or people voted under deceptions or some ridiculous lies, and then that should be put before the law court, and the law should be able to annul that particular referendum and say it's not right.
Yes.
We have to redo it because there's a flaw. There's an attempt to deceive the people before the election, and people believed in those stories and voted the way they voted. By law, then I can say democracy has been legally defeated. But for some individual parliamentarian to say on their own wishes that a second referendum should be done based on their own opinion or individualistic understanding of what they think is right or wrong about the referendum, then that is not acceptable. Because democracy remains democracy until it is denounced by a legitimate court of jurisdiction that says we found something wrong with the way the process went. Just like they took Boris to the court. Say, we find something wrong with the way you declare this institution to be shut down. And the court now says, yeah, we think you lied to the people. Then take the referendum to the judges. Take it to the court. Take it to the Supreme Court. And say, we want a second referendum because people were lied to. Both sides lied to the people. What if the majority has voted to remain? Would they be telling people we're going to have a second referendum? So we need to be justifiable in the way we make our requests, the way we make our demands. People are not stupid. People are not fools. Like I always tell people, there are two people in this planet that can deceive human beings in one way or the other: pastors and politicians. Pastors can tell you whatever to get you to become part of the crowd in the church.
Yes.
Politicians can tell you whatever to get you to become part of their voting machineries.
Yes.
And both of them are very dangerous people to lead a nation. You need to know, and you need to have a very strong faith in either of them to be a follower, to be a member. Because for you to be a member of a church,
let's move to something lighter.
Yeah, I mean,
you're holding a summit, African summit. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Moving away from politics for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic. It is a moment. It's a good time. This is a good time to really have such a summit, and we're having a summit in London in 2 weeks' time, approximately, on the 16th and 17th of October. Which is also the month where we mark the Black History Month in the UK, celebrating the effort of the Black community and the contribution of the Black community in making Great Britain great. So we'll be doing the political summit, the 4th annual political summit and awards in October. And the theme we're looking at is political security and democratic peace. And also a sub-theme we'll be looking into is women empowerment, looking at how women can be more involved in politics and leadership structure in governance. And I mean, it's a fantastic moment. We're going to be looking at the issues of Brexit. Where is it leading us? Where is it leading us?
We can't get away from that.
Where is it leading us to? And we're going to look at the emerging democracies around the world. What have they been learning from what is going on? Because Brexit is in news every day, everywhere around the world. What are they learning from it? Even in America, there's issues in America. The whistleblower, the Ukraine issue, the Russian issue, spy, and that. It's a big issue. What are the developing countries, democracies, learning from all these challenges in politics? Because there is one thing I tell to people: without politics, there is no economy. Without economy, there is no politics. These two things tangles together. It's like a husband and wife, and they move together in every society. And so we'll be looking at our African perspective of that, and seeing how our politicians are going to benefit from all this.
It's sounding so interesting. Yes.
I mean,
you don't want to miss what are the dates?
You are welcome to it.
What are the
you're
dates?
part of it. 16th and 17th of October.
Venue?
The 16th is going to be at the It's going to be at the council chamber of Enfield Council.
Yes.
That's Silver Street Civic Center, Enfield. And that's on the 16th. And our keynote speaker on that day is going to be, hopefully, I'm very, very confidently, the new Minister for Women Affairs and Social Development of Nigeria, Dr. Pauline Talent. A very, very, very experienced woman in Nigerian politics.
Yes.
Been in Nigerian politics for over 30 years, so knows what she's coming to speak about women in politics and other collaboration with political women in the UK here and across Europe. So she's going to be our keynote speaker. And then we've got speakers from Malawi, we've got speakers from Kenya, we've got speakers from South Africa going to be contributing to this summit. The second day is on the 17th, which is going to be held at the Iltree Suite, which is one of the big rooms in the House of Commons, where we're going to be hosted by our young upcoming Nigerian MP, Honorable Abimbola Bim Afolami. We normally call him Bim. He's going to be hosting us with Chris Fields. Chris Fields is one of our hosts, and hopefully we'll be having some key MPs at this parliamentary section of the summit at the House of Commons, and we look forward to seeing every one of you come, and let's see what is going to be the greater benefit of this whole Brexit issue to us as a black community as we celebrate the Black History Month, and also how it's going to be of a great benefit to us as Africans back home as politicians in Africa.
Yes, it's sounding quite exciting. Wow, it's power-packed. You've really picked a lot of very interesting personalities and diverse from different countries. How can people book?
Well, you can book or register for this particular summit on Eventbrite. Just go to Eventbrite and then type in London Political Summit and Awards 2019. It will come up there, and just register your interest. We have limited space. The House of Commons takes about 120 people in the room, so the registration, the space have been taken up seriously. It's running out. Take time and register. Get any of your political-minded people, friends, to register to come and listen to some of the big discourse about the future of politics, the insecurity that politics is creating, because people may not understand the fact that Brexit is already creating a huge level of uncertainty among businesses, even among individuals.
Yes.
Some level of uncertainty that is unimaginable. People are not sure if they're going to own a home in the next 1 year, 2 years. People are not sure if they're still going to be British. You don't know. Well, you may submit your passport because when we leave Brexit, the passport is going to change from red to blue. Some of you may submit to change your red to blue, and you realize that you are not even a British. So be careful, be warned, and be mindful, because this goes on, and then some of you are not going to be. You're going to be very shocked that you want to go to ordinary Paris. You have to go and queue at the embassy, the French embassy, like every other person, to get a visa to get to Paris. Be mindful. The level of insecurity that the politics of Brexit is creating for not only you indigenes, also the non-indigenes in this country is unimaginable. So you got to know. We need to discuss this.
They need to come. I came last year and it was really good. It was
You have
exciting.
to be there.
Yeah.
And we're going to be hosted at the Enfield Council by one of African great women in politics who has done so much in the last 12-15 years in British politics. Is the first Nigerian African female British politician to be elected twice as a mayor of a borough. She's serving her second time as a mayor of a borough, which shows that she's doing very good and very well. I mean, Dr. Kate Anelue is going to be hosting us at the Enfield. And also we'll be having, also in our midst, the mayor of Islington, the first the first Somalian-born mayor of any borough in the whole of UK. The first Somalian-born
women are
mayor.
leading.
Woman, yeah. She
yes,
is fantastic lady from Somalia, born Somalian but British. She's the first, I think, the first black African mayor of Islington, which is the borough of Jeremy Corbyn. So she's her local lord.
I know my fellow colleague is running for Enfield, Margaret Green now. She's Unison. She's head of Unison.
Unison, no.
Yeah, she's currently running for Enfield.
Oh, yes. Wow. Yeah. So we're going to be having Mayor Rekia Ismail. She's going to be part of us, discussing this women agenda with us, and the young people. We have a young emerging politician from Malawi who's going to be talking about the challenges of young people in politics in Malawi. We're going to have a young MP, elected MP in Kenyan Parliament, who is going to be looking at the challenges of young people in politics in Kenya. We're also trying to get hold of Bobby Wine, the young musician MP of Ugandan Parliament. Remember last year we had the Speaker of the Ugandan Parliament as our special keynote speaker. She did very well. So Bobby Wine, we're hoping he will be able to make it to be with us in London to talk about the challenges of the young people coming out of political participation in Uganda. We're also going to have a young politician that contested the Nigerian presidential election early this year in the person of Ahmed Buhari, not the Buhari government. They have a similar surname. Yes. Ahmed Buhari is a very young man. And also there's another young guy, Chike Ukebu. Chike Ukebu also was one of the youngest politicians that contested the election in Nigeria, presidential election. Both have signified their interest to come and talk about the young people. I mean, when I look at people saying young people, do they have the chance? I wonder if they are, because
they're really getting interested in politics.
When people say old people are running African politics, and I say, what do you mean? If Corbyn is still struggling at 60 something, 70 to be prime minister, and Trump is 75 and he still want to go second term, come on, friends. I don't think. I think the difference is about the capacity. Yes. It's about the mental capacity to lead. Yes. But at the same time, I'm one of those who propagate and project for the young people to be given a chance.
So it will be good for parents to encourage their young people to come along if they're interested in politics. I know in my field that there's a lot of young people in our community these days who are actually interested in getting into politics, but they don't know where to start, and something like your event will be a good starting point.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, from the understanding today, I mean, since 2010 in this country, there's been a huge amount of young people showing great interest in trying to be involved in the day-to-day politics of this country. We've seen a lot of them involved in a lot of activisms, going out for demonstrations against what they think is not right.
So the next young David Lammies of our days.
Yeah, I mean, we need. I am one of those who is also trying to propagate in my new discourses that I'm going to be putting to see how we can change the limitations of MPs in the House of Commons. People to stay for 30, 40 years in one seat is ridiculous. I mean, we need to give chance for young people. If people are not getting that chances, if you have 620 something odd MPs and about less than 15% of them are young people, because people have been there for 5 decades, 4 decades, 3 decades. God.
But is that not good what Boris is doing, that in his new cabinet he put in quite a lot of young people?
I mean, so that's a good step, a good leverage. But then you encourage the young people out to say, well, if he or she can be that at this age, then I can also work towards that and get that. I mean, I know very well that one of the youngest MPs is about 20, 22.
Yes.
It's good.
Yes.
But we don't need only one.
Yes.
We need as many as 100 of them
Yes.
in there, learning to grow to the next future. And by the time they are there for 2 decades, 3 decades, some other group ones come, and then they give a chance.
Yes.
We need to know how to give space for younger people to come.
Yeah, we shouldn't be just staring them into law and
People
accounting,
like Kevin
the
Clark.
usual
Kevin Clark should be gone by now.
African mentality. My son will be a lawyer, my daughter will be an accountant.
Yeah, for me, I'm not saying, I'm not against, I'm not
politics.
Yeah, I'm not against.
Well, there's other options, isn't it?
I'm not against old people, but I think people like Kevin Clark, people like Bucket, they should be given Harry Bucket. They should be given chances.
Yes, I was reading.
People like
she wants to run as PM.
Yeah, people like Danny Abbott.
Yeah.
They should be given chances to these young people
To retire and mentor them.
We're moving to a level where the younger generations need to understand those who are leading them. They
Yes.
need to be in the same frame of mind. They need
Yes.
to be in the same. They need to be in the same thinking methodology. They need to be in the same class of fear, trials and challenges, so they can be able to say, whatever you're going through, I'm going through it.
Yeah.
But you don't go into an
Do you think this might be the problem of knife crimes, etc.? That there's a lack of understanding amongst the young
people. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
People have been MP, they've completed their mortgages, they have second mortgages, they completed second mortgages, they have 4 houses, and then you have people struggling to get into the system, and they're not really finished. So for me, I believe that there is a need to change. I'm a member of the electoral reform.
Yes.
Society.
What is that, if you can explain to our audience?
The Electoral Reform Society is a group of political thinkers that come together to look at issues reflecting or affecting the society through our constitution, through our democratic structures and institutions. They clamor for this whole thing about the Lords, making the Lords a more elective house than selective house. They are clamoring for all this thing about reducing the time frame of being in the House of Commons. They are clamoring for the way our electoral systems past the post, direct past the post or whatever system of election. So the Electoral Reform Society is there for you to be a member if you think that some things are not right in the electoral system, in the governance system, and then we try to find a way propagate some new dimensions that can be put forward to the government, put forward to those in the system, to the electoral commission to say, look, let's have a change in the way things are going on. And it's a big society. I mean, they're having the next, the annual conference is coming up in Manchester in November.
Yes.
And I mean, you can Google it, Electoral Reform Society. It's one of the big think tank group in the UK moving forward. So I think there's need for a huge change.
Yes.
And I'm happy that Brexit has brought out a lot of this change in one way or the other.
Yes.
So it's about people being able to push it.
Yes, yes.
And try to see how they get something out of it.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to Africa. What do you think about Zimbabwe, where do you think Mugabe should have been given a state funeral?
Well,
you're not expecting that.
Well, I know that African politics is a dangerous terrain.
Yes.
In as much as we are still playing politics developed by colonial mentality, colonial conceptions, and we are yet to do politics based on people perspectives, people-oriented politics, where what matters on political agenda is the people, and the people, and the people. But look, I think Mugabe deserves a state burial, not because of the latter part of his life, but because of his former part of his life.
Yes.
I mean, he stood to liberate Africanians who feel that they are the real Zimbabweans.
Yes.
From the white hold to Zimbabwe when it used to be South Rhodesia.
Yes.
And they made it possible to move from being South Rhodesia to what they call Zimbabwe. People may not understand that they changed the name to Zimbabwe because they wanted to have an identity.
Yes.
They wanted to have an identity that belongs to them and not by a foreign identification. And he did, but he made a mistake when he decided to do land grab, when he brought the land grab law to take land away from the so-called white Zimbabweans, who, for me, are Zimbabweans because they've lived all their life. Even their parents came all the way to stay in Zimbabwe, or their grandparents or great-grandparents. But that is when he did the biggest mistake. And I think whoever gave him that advice did not advise him very well. And that is why sometimes we need people to advise us. And when they advise us, we need to go back and think very well before we make decisions and actions on those advice. I think it was a good thing, a good concept, but taken in the wrong way.
Yes.
And asking to take lands from people and don't compensate them properly, it's like telling them you are not part of us.
Yes.
And it's very wrong. It's an unacceptable proposition which went wrong, and that has cost Zimbabwe today their economic livelihood or economic stand
position globally
in Africa. Because I used to remember Zimbabwe being called the food basket of Africa.
Yes.
Because most agricultural produce export purpose to Europe comes from Zimbabwe.
Yes.
And they were in good competition with Kenya in terms of the export of flowers, blooms to Europe and to America. But now they can't even export ordinary seedlings. They don't even have to export. And it's very bad.
Yes, a pity.
You have to carry a bag of money to just to buy a milk. You have to carry the money in a bag just to buy a bottle of milk. It's a terrible situation. I think he did not do well for Zimbabwe in the latter part of his life.
Yes.
He took advantage of the level of poverty and education to override the people of Zimbabwe. But for me, I believe a state barrier that defines who he is from the beginning.
Yes.
Is good. Well, unfortunately, the people who took over from him are still living behind or leading his legacy of bad management.
Yes.
Which is not good enough for Zimbabweans up to this very moment. I think leaders should learn from previous leaders, and learning is a curve.
Yes.
You have to learn to improve. They said that when you are informed, you are reformed.
Yes.
When you are uninformed, you are deformed. So when people are not using the information they get to make better the life of the people and the society, then they are not really informed.
Yes.
They're just pretending they are informed, but they're not really informed. So that is the situation with the issue concerning Zimbabwe today. And I hope the president, I keep having problem pronouncing his name, Mnangagwa, would venture to make a difference from the past to the future. And the only way he can do that is to embrace the entire Zimbabwean political institution structure and make peace. Make peace in the sense that we need leaders in Africa, old or young, to understand that one of the 7 principles of politics is tolerance. The politicians cannot tolerate his fellow politicians.
Yes.
It's going to be very, very volatile to live in such a political society or community if there is absolute intolerance of one another in the political environment. This leads to the violence, this leads to communal clashes, and this leads to ethno-religious divide and challenges. But when people tolerate one another, when politicians signal the spirit of tolerance in good faith, then the issues of violence, youth, thuggery, ethno-religious clashes will minimize, will reduce. People will see from the leader's point of view why they should accept situations, accept conditions, and move forward, believing that once bitten, twice shy. Understand? And he who fights to run away lives to fight another day. It's all principles of life. You understand? So, I mean, this brings me to the idea that one of the award initiative we created from London Political Summit last year is the Uhuru Raila African Peace Accord Award. Why? Because we felt that these two leaders have come to understand this key principle of political tolerance. Political tolerance. And what we mean by that? They exhibited that sometime last year, March last year, when the both came out from a surprise meeting. Unimaginable situation. They put the whole Kenya on a confusion. When two leaders that ever before people felt they can never see face to face, they don't speak to one another. Their parents created one of the strongest enmity, political enmity in Kenya and East African politics in the 60s, after independence. Today, suddenly they decided that enough of this. Enough of people killing one another in our name, on our beliefs. We need to stop these bickerings. We need to stop this political dishonesty. We need to stop this, and have a common value for the people, for the nation, value of life. Let's accept conditions the way they are. Let's give the generation a new direction of politicking in our country. And they had this peace accord handshake in Nairobi that brought the two closer, made the two to look into how they can solve political misunderstandings in the various parties, and various community divide, because this has divided the community, divided the nation into two. And they need to bring the nation together. And so we felt that they've done what many leaders have not done before. They've done what many leaders are not dreaming to do. And we felt there's a need to put a legacy behind that. And that legacy we want to lead to them to say, if you want to be a good and honest politician, it's difficult to find one.
Very.
But in as much as you are in your dishonesty, your maneuvering system and structure, always believe that you cannot have everything at all times, every time. Give room for the space to make peace. And once you are still alive, your destiny will always come fruitful. You can never lose the hope of achieving your destiny if you believe that is your destiny.
Okay. Can we, because you're talking about working together, countries working together, Nigeria and South Africa, that issue, what is your own take?
I mean the Nigerian South African issue is unfortunate that it's happening now. South Africa is a great nation. I think it's one of the best, well managed. Unfortunately, apart from apartheid regimes and stuff, it's one of the countries that has the looks of an European context. In Africa. And it's rather unfortunate that power changed hands in a generation where millions of the black people were highly uneducated. And power moved to this community.
Yes.
And unfortunately, in good faith,
yes,
Nelson Mandela felt that he has achieved the dream that he has been fighting for over 40 years for his people. But rather than making good use of it by those he has given that freedom
yes,
to better themselves, they have rather make an unfortunate misuse of that freedom.
yes,
And it's created more hardship for the Africanians of South Africa.
yes,
It has brought more harm to more of the black people in South Africa than they expect. But in the exception of that, South Africa is still a great country. And unfortunately, they have, because of the loophole that South Africa has failed to manage in the south of the Africa,
yes,
with regards to neighboring countries, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Tanzania, Mozambique, and the rest, who are now looking for better life because of the challenges in their country,
yes,
and moving now into South Africa and making up the number of huge level of black unemployment, black uneducated, and that has created a vacuum
yes,
in the South African system. Then you have the Nigerians who felt there is a big vacuum here.
yes,
And our country is not giving us the benefit to use our talent, use our expertise, use our professionalism back home. Maybe we should go and give it away. In other countries, sending professionals
yes,
to other countries is an export,
yes,
which yields money back home for the economy. But in Nigeria, it's a different thing.
yes,
The government doesn't understand the propensities of professional export,
yes,
of human talent, human expertise. But here you have a Nigerian community that's moving their trends to South Africa as doctors, as teachers, as nurses, and they're filling the gap. And this gap filling has created this what I call huge level of I try to remember the name, envy,
yes,
among the local South Africans,
yes,
who feel that more and more professional Nigerians are taking over the good jobs that could have been filled up by black South Africans.
yes,
But because there are few numbers of those black South Africans educated to that level to take those jobs, it's become a big challenge.
yes,
And then at the same time, added with the level of Nigerians, I'm not shy to say this, who are also going into South Africa to become warlords, drug lords. This is a very ridiculous situation
yes,
that has led to all this infuriation. People, South Africa, are saying they don't want any more of these people in South Africa. I think there's a way we can do this is by creating an informative and educational process
yes,
that guides people on reasons why you have to be in South Africa,
yes,
and reasons why you have to be reasonably living in South Africa for reasonable purposes.
yes,
And also an informative and educational system that will enable the South Africans understand that they need to embrace
yes,
foreigners that are bringing
definitely, yes, yes,
opportunities to their country, helping to sustain their economy for good purpose, and at the same time, ensuring that the system that is aligned the negativity of foreigners in South Africa are brought to a minimal control. Because if you saying Nigerians are in South Africa and they are controlling the drugs, what happens to the South African police?
Yes.
What is the South African security agencies doing? Why are they not working to make sure that this is not the case?
Yes.
Why are they not working to ensure that they reduce the number of drug trafficking, drug moles, drug peddlers operating in the hoodlums or in the suburbs of South Africa? Why are they allowing it to work?
Yes, if there's anyone who wants to call in to ask Mr. Azu a question, you can call in on 0808 800 46100. You can continue.
Yeah, I mean, it takes two to tango.
Yes.
It takes two to tango. If the South African police system is not open and welcoming the drug barons and drug cartels to have a strong base and hold in South Africa.
Yes.
Young Nigerians who are seeing it as a profitable venture will not be going there to become moles and peddlers.
But wouldn't you think it's the responsibility of the Nigerian government to screen first those people who are living in Nigeria to go to other countries, since they're going to be the representative of Nigerians in the diaspora?
Yeah, that's why I said it's a two-way thing.
Yeah.
It's a two-way thing. When I said information and educational system is both sides of the country. I mean, if somebody is leaving Nigeria and he says, I'm going to South Africa, the airport should be able to screen and understand, why is he going to South Africa?
Yeah.
What is he going to do there? What does he have to do in South Africa? We need to know so that we know. Are you carrying a good image of Nigeria to South Africa? Are you going there for a certified purpose that is genuine and reasonable, that can be able to sustain the good image of Nigeria? Not about the individual. It's about carrying the green passport.
Yes.
Nigerians should understand that wherever an individual goes, it's not only about that individual, it's about the person's carrying the green passport as a Nigerian.
Yes.
You can never go anywhere as an American with an American passport and anything happens to you. The Americans as a whole will come after that country, will come after whoever will look for just one individual. The Americans will look, not because of the individual.
Even getting into America is a problem, even if you're a child of the Prime Minister.
Yeah, it's not because it's an individual person, but because he bears that American passport, and he can identify that himself as an American by that passport. They will do anything to get you out of anywhere for that purpose. Nigerian government should pay greater priority to the green passport. What value does it have to the country? What value does it add to the country? What value does it add to the national identity of that country as a whole, as a nation, as a sovereign country? And that is what people should be looking at. The individual could have been a Ghanaian, could have been a Somalian, could have been a Tanzanian, could have been a Zimbabwean. But for the fact that he identifies himself as a Nigerian, we must know, why are they carrying our passport? Why are they identifying themselves as a Nigerian? Why are they going? Every Nigerian outside Nigeria is an ambassador of the country. Whether you do well or you do bad, you are painting the country bad and at the same time painting the country good. So, but when you equate the bad, the evil to good, if the evil is greater, then the country is down. If the good is greater, then the country doesn't matter about what you call them to be as bad people or whatever. But when one of the two elements is greater than the other, then the country's profile either rises or collapses.
Yes. Is that not part of the reason for Brexit, that they're saying we're letting in too many foreigners and they're bringing in a bad image into Great Britain and what it stands for?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing to what Trump said in his speech on the UN. You understand? The America is classified as a free state of the free world, the free man world. But Trump said we cannot allow everybody to be coming in through the back door. If you want to come in through the front door. It's only a thief that comes in through the back door. Come in through the front door. Yes. If you come in through the front door and we accept you, then we accept you to behave normally, behave properly, do the right thing, follow the law, obey the law, do what is right, and you will remain.
Yeah.
But if we allow you in under deception, and we find out that you have come in under deception, and we find the truth, we cannot deport you. He said it clearly.
Yes.
If we get you,
But
you
I
get
think
me wrong,
in this country,
deport you.
it's very difficult for the British government to deport people. They
Because this is because of the EU conceptions of the rules, which is good for some, bad for some, and that is why the Italians are saying no, we don't want any more. Which the populist party led by what's his name again, Slovenia in Italy, are saying we want people, but there must be the right people. And if they're not the right people, we have to chuck them out of the country. Because why? They're making the wrong image of the country. You get, and this is what the South Africans are saying.
Yes.
Yeah, you may call it xenophobia, is it xenophobia or exophobia? I don't know what they call it. Yeah, fine. We like people. You guys helped us to be where we are, but you must not come to destroy our country.
Yes, which is fair enough.
Bring good things and we all enjoy.
Yes.
You get me?
Yes.
Bring good. I said to Nigerians, can anyone tell me one great investment structure, institution created by a Nigerian in South Africa? Very hard to find. It's all these small jobs, small businesses.
Manual jobs.
But we have over 20 kinds of huge potential economic investments of South Africa in Nigeria.
Wow.
In Nigeria. Big brands. You get me?
Yes.
Big brands.
Yes.
Anything happens between the two is going to lose.
Yeah.
Because what the South Africans are bringing into Nigeria, Nigerians cannot create it themselves in Nigeria. What South Africa is gaining in Nigeria, they may not be able to gain it in South Africa. Why? Because South Africa has a big product.
Yeah.
Nigeria has the big market.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yes.
Nigerians have the big market, but they lack people to produce these big products in Nigeria.
Yes.
And that's the chain reactions that people have to understand. Who is going to lose more? South African can say, okay, fine, fantastic. We end the relationship. We take our business to Malawi, Rwanda, which we can do with the little populations there, and we still market our product. We still do well. But you're going to struggle because you're going to find a way to get these things directly. And then because we are not organized, our foreign policies are not well structured.
Yes.
Our foreign policies are like unwritten constitutions. They are all over the place. People dictate to us before we know how to put our foreign policies together for any particular issue, situation, which is not supposed to be so. You have to stand. Every country needs to stand.
Yeah, because Nigeria's got potential to be the greatest nation in Africa, not just in Africa, in the world.
We are the biggest black nation in the whole world. We have the biggest economy. We have the biggest population. We need to understand how we run our country to benefit our people, to benefit our neighbors, to benefit the extended Africa as a whole. And for that to happen, we need leaders who understand what the world is evolving to be today. Like I said, we're moving to a multipolar political world order where there are key 5 countries that wants to take absolute domination of the entire planet, and they are fighting for it, fighting for Africa, they're fighting for North America, they're fighting for East Asia, they're fighting for East of Europe, they're fighting everywhere to ensure that they have a say in what happens in these regions. Nigeria, for me, should be one of the bipolar fighters for Africa, saying you cannot come to Africa except this condition is met.
Okay, thank you for coming on the program, Mr. Godson Azu. And anybody interested in going to his summit, you can call into the studio to find out more details on how to get hold of him and how to book his summit. Thank you for watching.
Before we close, I'd like to say that this program is kind of sponsored by Wave. SendWave is a money sending platform in the UK for sending money back home to Nigeria. If you watch this program, wherever you're watching it, it's being sponsored by SendWave. You can go online and download the app SendWave. It's free commission. You don't have to pay anything to send money through them, and easy seconds, and your money is in your account in Nigeria and that of your friends. You can send money with love. In as much as we know, this is one of the greatest things that Nigerians in diaspora do for their people. Last year, there was an estimated $22 billion remittance to many countries in Africa, and Nigeria was one of the largest remittance. This year, they're estimated to be 33 billion by World Bank. It's not me, World Bank, they follow everything. So we are going to help you make sure you send your money right, send it the right way, send it to the right place, and see your money safe in those accounts. Send money through SendWave, and your money will be safe. With love.
Thank you. SendWave. Good.